Hello gamers, Navy Gunner 04 here. It's the end of 2015, so I thought I'd bring you my top 10 games of 2015. This is my top 10 games. Your top 10 games may vary, but a lot of games that you may have played, I might not have played, or the other way around. You should also stick around to the end of the video where I'll be giving away an Xbox 360 game, which is backwards compatible with Xbox One, or a Steam game. Number 10, Transformers Devastation. Transformers Devastation, brought to us by Platinum Games. This action hack and slash game is based on the Generation 1 Transformers, and not only do they pay a huge attention to detail on all the things that made the 1980s cartoon great, but it also has the signature super smooth gameplay that Platinum Games is known for. Number 9 is Dying Light, brought to us by Techland, and is a first-person open-world survival horror game. Try to say that 3 times fast. Techland also made the Dead Island series, but many of their inspiration was lost due to a push to pander to popular demand by the publisher. With Dying Light, Techland was given the freedom to make the open-world zombie game they originally intended. This game infuses parkour with first-person combat, and it works perfectly. Techland has also put a lot of effort into their post-release content. Number 8 is N++, which is brought to us by developer MetaNet Software, and as of this video is only available on the PlayStation 4. While some may think this is just an expansion to the original N+ series, it is much more than that. While it may use many of the same mechanics this series is known for, it ramps up the content to crazy proportions. It comes with thousands of new levels, co-op, race, and multiplayer modes, multiple colors that can be customized, and a huge level editor with the ability to share levels online. Number 7 was one of the bigger surprises of 2015. It is Until Dawn, brought to us by Supermassive Games. Until Dawn is an interactive drama survival horror game. While many horror games attempt to place much of the horror on jump scares or gory scares, tacked on to action-style gameplay, Supermassive instead focused on the characters and the decisions you make to either keep them alive or send them to the deaths. Coming in at number 6 is Mad Max, brought to us by Avalanche Studio. This is a huge open-world action game that launch was overshadowed by the release of Metal Gear Solid 5, which released on the same day. Many people, myself included, was worried about a Mad Max movie game since most movie games are almost always terrible. To my huge relief, this game is actually a highly enjoyable game with a huge open world and tons of references to the series of films. The emphasis on car combat instead of relying on the fighting mechanics has made this game very enjoyable. Number 5, Ark is another surprise hit that was brought to us via Steam Early Access by multiple studios. Ark is a dinosaur survival action game. You are placed on an island with dinosaurs with only one goal, to survive. It feels like a mix of DayZ and Minecraft, but with dinosaurs. This game may be an early access game, but it is filled with tons of content and is constantly updated with new content and bug fixes. Number 4, Forza 6. Several simulation racing games were released in 2015, but Forza was the game that stood above the rest. Forza 6 is brought to us by Turn 10 Studios. Many people saw Forza 5 as a low point in the series due to the lack of content, no weather, and a leveling system that was held back by microtransactions. Turn 10 did a complete 180 with Forza 6 by having more than 450 cars, almost a dozen new tracks in addition to the ones that were brought to us in Forza 5, and a weather effect that has a major effect on your race lines. Number 3, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Witcher 3 is an open-world action RPG brought to us by CD Projekt Red. The Witcher 3 is a refinement to the Witcher series and provides a rich open world with over 100 hours of content. It was released with very few bugs and has been supported by a ton of free content by the developers. Number 2, Fallout 4. Having Fallout 4 on this list should come as no surprise. It is a huge open world action RPG brought to us by Bethesda Game Studios. It's been 5 years since a Fallout game was released, with New Vegas being mostly a reskin of Fallout 3. Bethesda knew they had to not only create a game for the fans, but one that would bring in enough changes and new features to bring in people new to the series. A couple of those new additions are the ability to build a community and be able to use some mods on the console version of the game. While this feature hasn't been released yet, it is a hugely anticipated feature that could change the console gaming landscape. And number 1. My number 1 game of 2015 is Rocket League by Psychonix. I know, I probably pronounced that wrong. When I first heard about this game, all I could think was how absurd it sounded. Then the game was released on PlayStation 4 and PC, with the PS4 version being free for PlayStation Plus members. I decided to download it, and it blew my mind with how fun it was. This is the type of game that has exploded with the masses and has created a game that could easily compete with all the other games in the esports arena. And what good is the heroes of the story without the villains? So I'm also going to bring you the top 5 letdown or terrible games of 2015. Number 5, Evolve. Many of you are probably surprised to see this high-profile game on this list, but I will not hold back on the disappointment that I felt, and I'm sure many others felt towards this game. It has its moments when it is fun, but that is only if you have 4 other people to play with, because it is a terrible experience with random online players or AI. Another huge blow to this game is that it released with full intentions of releasing tons of content as paid DLC that could have been released with the game. And probably the final nail in the coffin is its ever-shrinking online population. While numbers have bumped up slightly since the release of Season 2, platforms like Steam are only showing an average of 500 people logged in at the same time, with a peak of just about 1,000 players. Compare that with games like Modern Warfare 2, which was released several years ago and still show a larger community online, and you will see that Evolve is destined to be a game whose servers will be pulled early in its life cycle. Number 4, The Order 1886. This is a game that showed huge promise when it was originally announced, but by the time it was released, it was a game that followed almost all the other shooters on the market and was extremely short for a full release game that had no multiplayer. The only thing going for this game was the crazy beautiful graphics that it provided. Number 3, Godzilla. As with most movie-based games, Godzilla had huge potential, is let down by awkward controls and a hugely repetitive gameplay. While the game did pay a good amount of attention to the old school monster movies it was based on, it makes it even more of a letdown that the gameplay was so bad. Number 2, Devil's Third. One thing that should have been learned from releasing a game stuck in developmental hell is that you shouldn't. Even if it has potential in the beginning, it is going to have hugely dated game concepts and mechanics, which will ruin the experience for everyone. Devil's Third has been in development since 2008, and it shows in everything from the graphics to the controls. Maybe this game should have stayed in the past and been buried when its original publisher, THQ, fell. Number 1, Tony Hawk 5. Oh, Tony Hawk, how you have fallen from the peaks of gaming success to bring us this rushed abomination and call it a reboot of the series. Best yet, maybe you should release a game with very little and super buggy content at a full $60 price tag, and have a day one patch that is larger than the game itself and hardly fixes any issues. Well, there you have it, folks. That is my top 10 games of 2015 and bottom 5 games of 2015. So now the part that you all have been waiting for, the free games. Woo! Alright, so here's what I'm going to need you to do. I want you to leave me a comment in the comment section below on YouTube and let me know what your top 1 game was. On January 8th, I will randomly pick one person from those comments. The winner could choose a pack of games with Gears of War 1, 2, 3, and Judgment, which are all Xbox 360 games that are backwards compatible on Xbox One. Or they could choose the Steam versions of Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3, and the new Game of the Year edition of the newer Tomb Raider reboot. So there you have it, folks. Leave those comments down below. Let me know what your top game is. Win a game. It's that easy. I'll send the codes to you however you want via email, or if you'd like me to mail them to you, I could always do that too. Remember to subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and maybe I'll do more giveaways in the future. Have a great 2016.